All right, so I wrote this on my PT. When I was a 14, 15-year-old troublemaker, I went to a friend of mine's, not a friend of mine, a friend of mine knew this actor that was up and coming called David Hubbard, young kid. I remember going to this lady's house, and I went into this spiritual meeting of teenagers trying to open up and share. I think it was 1978, 79. And I didn't know then, but I was going to Lee Taylor Young's house. And on the mantle was a photo of a curly-haired white man with three-piece suit on, white suit. And I remember, it was lasered in my memory, never forget. And then later, I would flash back. I'm going to segue back and flash back to when I was like 10 years old in Florida, and I saw a ghost. I thought I saw a ghost in the house. My mom confirms it, and my aunt confirmed it, that it was the same man in the three-piece suit. I would then later connect JR to. Now, hold on. So I realized that's what that is, but then flash forward, I had to go through a whole trying period between 15 and 22. It was pretty rough. Found out who my real father was and all this dramatic stuff that wasn't really dramatic, but I was using substance, trying to play guitar, miserable in Miami. Bottom line is, I fly back to California to be this actor. I'm taken to the Bodhi tree, all this health food stuff, and I'm trying to learn. I'm taken out of the ghetto and being taught through this gentleman who later left my life. I don't know where he went to, but he introduced me to Insight Seminars, which was a seminar program that John Roger was doing with teens and adults. And I kind of wasn't really doing it. Then around, say, 2021, I was having a really deep problem. My career as an actor was taken off. I had a girlfriend and I was miserable. And then I decided to do Insight 1 I had no connection really of this gentleman with the three-piece suit yet and John Roger. But that Insight, I should do Insight. I should do Insight, clean me up. Bottom line is I did Insight, I was clean. I did Insight 2, it really changed my life. It's a 5-day seminar on just stripping away everything that's not you, opening your heart. In doing 2, I was completely clean. I found out who I was a lot better, and I went for that. And then I saw John Roger in the hallways. Meanwhile, I was about to get married. And when I got married to this one woman, I met JR. I took her to a seminar, and that's where I met JR. And I was like, that's it, I'm hooked. But me and her, the seminar actually was called Relationship Seminars. Actually, no, let me correct that. We broke up, and I found out that he was doing a course called the Relationship Seminars. So it was in front of 700 people. I got up and shared, and I just got the hit, and it was amazing. And I knew that I wanted to be with my wife, but I also wanted to work for this guy. I don't know how, and I vocalized it. I said, hey, I want to travel and be like John Morton, who was his number 2 man. Everybody laughed. He laughed. He had a good time. He helped me with my relationship with my wife as that was kind of ending. And there were these trips that he would end up finishing in 1995, but in 1988 was going to come up a trip called the PAT trips, Peace Awareness Trainings. And you take a whole month off. He'd take 150 people out to Egypt and Israel. So you say 2 weeks in Egypt, cruising down the Nile and visiting temples and meditating. And then you go to Israel, the promised land, and you do a communion there. It was incredible. Well, I had seen the videotapes. I wanted to go. My wife and I were kind of breaking up, and when I got the courage, I said, and I had been meeting with John Roger. He did my aura balance, And then I was really into it. I was like, wow, this is the stuff I've got to do. And I gave my money. I gave my money to my wife. I said, "You stay in New York. I'm going to go do this thing. When I come back, we'll figure out what we're to do." Anyway, bottom line is, when I did, you asked me the first time I met JR, that was the defining moment when I met JR, was on that trip. There was a month hanging out with him. And it changed my life forevermore. Like, there was no return from that. But I ended up working for John Roger, and that's basically, in a gist, in a truncation of the big hit was 1988, and I'd already done 2 years of studying with him. And I was like, I'm moving in, working with you on staff. I'll drive you around, whatever you want. And part of me was like, can I still have a career? And like Paul Kay was saying, JR doesn't tell you what to do. And that's really what John Roger has always instilled in us, is that the teachings are inside. They're not in a building or a church. But one of the anecdotes that I have of JR was, I flash on, after I went to Egypt and Israel, I remember being on a Russian train with him, going to Moscow to continue on the trip. And he did my initiation on the train, done on the Russian train to Moscow. And I mean, that's like, it's lasered into my head. I remember just a lot of stuff, just stuff that I can hear inside. My dreams have been phenomenal. I remember JR used to tell me, because I was so into, like, Tom Cruise had been offered vampire, Interview with a Vampire. Remember that movie? And I had read the book and everything, and I was just trying to, like, figure out how to get in touch with Tom Cruise. I can tell him, this is what you need to do. And JR would say, well, just, write it down in your journal and go dream. So I would write my dream and dream. And I was having these profound clairvoyant dreams of meeting Tom Cruise and literally having a conversation with him. And I would write that down. 6 months later, I'd run into Tom Cruise and I'd have this profound conversation. And this thing started to roll. And I started to see that a lot of that started to happen with working with John Roger, that whatever you focus on, you can create. You could put the feelers out and run into people, anything you want. You could really have it if you go for it. But you have to commit. So those are little things I've learned. They want to talk about food, right? So one of the things that really strike me about JR is my whole time with John Roger, if I were to encapsulate it, is to say, I spent a lot of time driving John Roger to different locations and seminars and long trips. And I spent a lot of time with John Roger around Denny's, In-N-Out Burgers, and some donut 24-hour places. Let's just say that he likes 2 eggs over easy on a pancake or a couple pancakes. And I call that the JR special in the movie The Wayshower. One of JR's favorite pies are key lime pie. That Key West key lime pie. One time we're on a Disney cruise with Zane and his family, and the ship docked outside the Key West port, and we all made a beeline to the key lime pie shop. And it was like, we all brought back like cases of key lime. You can freeze it, you know what I'm saying? You can saute it, you can fry it. JR, I love you, and I'm here to serve forever and be your driver and take care of you. And I really always, more and more, I get stronger inside, that I can feel your presence inside, directing my life and making the proper choices and the good choices in life. And I'm really glad I met you this life and beyond, that we just keep traveling and working together. I love you.
great.
I think
thank JR for telling you.
that was a truncation of a lot of stuff.